joining us as we celebrate the 26th year of our annual Men's Health Summit, an event that has become a defining platform for confronting the challenges that shape men's health across our communities. This gathering reflects our shared dedication to addressing the inequities that remain deeply embedded in the health and economic gaps we see today. These conditions continue to influence outcomes for men and boys in Greater Boston, swaying everything from access to preventative care and mental wellness support to educational attainment, employment stability, and long-term well-being. They remind us that bridging an all too wide divide is not simply a matter of improving individual choices, but of transforming the systems, environments, opportunities, and the perceptions that determine how our communities are valued. These inequities demand us to confront the narratives that limit potential, to challenge the biases that influence policy, and to build a culture where every man and boy is viewed through the lens of possibility. Today, we will examine the systemic factors driving poor health outcomes, amplify the solutions needed to improve longevity and well-being, and provide health education. We have our mobile vans outside and resources, access and connections to care. As we continue our efforts to improve men's health and quality of life, we will also celebrate this year's 5 men's health champions, outstanding advocates who reflect the communities we serve and exemplify through their professional and personal experiences Whittier's mission to address health equity, social justice, and the economic disparities in our diverse communities. The theme for this year's summit, Closing the Gap, Better Health for Men and Boys, reflects both urgency and opportunity. It calls on us to recognize not only the disparities that persist, but also the collective power we hold to change them. This theme reminds us that progress is possible when communities, institutions, leaders, and individuals come together with intention, clarity, and purpose. It comes as no surprise to all assembled here that men and boys in Greater Boston continue to face layered and compounding challenges across education, health, and economic opportunity. These inequities are most visible in lower income Black and Latino communities where systemic gaps manifest as lower graduation rates, shorter life expectancies, and higher incidence of injury and overdose. But these disparities do not emerge in isolation. They are the result of long-standing structural barriers, ones that influence access to care, shape educational pathways, and limit economic mobility. They are reinforced by the environment in which people live, the opportunities available to them, and the perceptions that inform how communities are supported. Patterns such as these are not abstract. They reflect the lived realities of families across our neighborhoods and underscore why gatherings such as today's summit are so essential. They remind us that behind every statistic is a story. A father navigating chronic illness in the absence of adequate support. A young man struggling to stay engaged in school. A family grieving a preventable loss. And they also compel us to confront the despairing numbers that reveal just how deep these inequities are for men and boys in Greater Boston. Numbers that demand not only attention, but also action. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to our sponsors listed on these slides, whose generosity helped to make this year's summit possible. Your support allows us to fulfill our mission to serve as a center of excellence that addresses health equity and social justice. And much gratitude to our vendors. We have an exciting raffle after the panel discussion. And community partners, many of them are out there, and our vendors who play a role in shaping today's program. Your support moves us closer to a healthier and more just future for all. Across the Commonwealth, the disparities in life expectancy and overall health outcomes are stark. Men in Massachusetts live on average about 5 years less than women, with the gap widening even further for Black and Latinx men. Black men in particular face a life expectancy of roughly 73 years, an urgent reminder of the structural barriers that shape health long before someone seeks or has access to medical care. We are tackling the life expectancy gap by delivering comprehensive, culturally affirming care that meets men where they are. Before we started the summit, the men's health program 27 years ago, men were 9% of our population. Now, on some days, we only serve men. Men are 49% of our population. So thanks to all of you. Primary care model, men receive early detection, chronic disease management, and preventative services that directly target the conditions most responsible for premature death: hypertension, diabetes, heart disease, and cancer. Community outreach is another cornerstone of Whittier's approach, bringing overdose prevention and education and treatment referrals directly to the places where men are most at risk. By combining treatment with community-based prevention and culturally informed support, we are helping men reclaim stability, rebuild lives, and reduce the devastating toll of substance abuse. Mental health challenges also weigh heavily. These are the substance use statistics. Mental health challenges also weigh heavily on the communities we serve. Although girls self-report depression at higher rates, men account for 3/4 of all suicide deaths in Massachusetts. Adult men experience disproportionately high levels of social isolation and a lack of close friendships, factors that significantly increase the risk of mental health crisis. Addressing these realities will inequities not only through clinical care, but also community-based connection and support. Whittier recognizes that mental health challenges among men are often hidden behind layers of stigma, silence, and social isolation. To counter this, our center provides a full continuum of behavioral health services. Beyond clinical care, Whittier is intentional about creating spaces for connection and offers community-based programs and activities that offer men a chance to build relationships, share experiences, and strengthen emotional resilience. Educational disparities begin early and widen over time. Despite Boston's reputation as a global center of higher education, boys fall behind academically as early as the 4th grade. They drop out of high school at rates roughly 25% higher than girls. And men lag women by about 9 percentage points in earning a bachelor's degree. These gaps have long-term consequences, shaping career pathways, earning potential, and overall stability. Whittier understands that educational disparities begin early and contribute to shaping health, opportunity, and stability across a lifetime. To address these gaps, we invest in youth development programs that support boys academically, socially, and emotionally. As part of our broader community outreach, we provide services to several Boston public schools, and we have clinics at several schools, including the Boston Day and Evening Academy, the Dudley Street Initiative, where we're removing the gaps to care and meeting children where they are. By investing in the holistic well-being of boys early and consistently, Whittier is helping to close the educational opportunity gap and expand pathways to higher education and long-term success. The workforce landscape has also shifted in ways that disproportionately affect men. Declines in traditionally male-dominated industries like manufacturing, combined with growth in healthcare and needs and health issues. By addressing these disparities ensures I have widened the gap in the labor market and stability. By addressing these interconnected factors, we can help men achieve not only employment, but long-term economic mobility, thereby strengthening families, neighborhoods, and the broader communities. While we are not an employment agency, we partner with employers, with the community, with schools. We provide clinical rotation so our young men and boys can see the potential and they too can reach their full potential. I tell the kids all the time, I'm looking for a CEO, and there's one in this building in our pediatrics department, and we're mentoring them. Not only that, healthcare is an industry that's growing, so there's always opportunity for our young men and boys. And healthcare, even though as a woman, I'm committed to gender equity, healthcare is dominated by women. So we need to get more men in the pipeline. Another issue that men face is not having gender-focused men. So it's very difficult to find Black and Latino men in the community, and that is something that we are doing and you'll hear about. So wrapping up, confronting disparities of this scale, generational disparities, generational inequities require more than an acknowledgement, more than a one-day summit. It requires consistent focus. It demands coordinated, community-rooted action. By addressing the widening life expectancy, educational and economic gaps for men and boys in Boston, particularly our Black and material men, we need cross-sector partnerships, community engagement, and empowerment to deploy targeted, data-driven action. Action steps and solutions must focus on 3 core policies and advocacy pillars. Health equity and lifespan extension. When we started focusing on life expectancy in Roxbury, we saw data from the Boston University that said the average life expectancy of a person living in Roxbury was 59.5 years. And we were that little engine with the Street Health Center that started to work with the community, our elected officials, our funders, our partners, our hospital, to raise awareness. We even had a show on ABC called The Tale of Two Cities, because if you compared Roxbury at that time with an average life expectancy of 59 and a half years, and the Back Bay with an average life expectancy of 92 years, there was a 33-year gap in two communities that are less than 2 miles apart. And I'm pleased to say that in 2024, the Boston Public Health Commission did another refresh of the data, and it showed that the life expectancy gap had closed by 10 years to 69 years. Still unacceptable, because many of us are getting close to that number, but, but it shows the power of our collective efforts. It shows the power of what we could do. Economic inclusion and wealth inequality provide critical benefits for men in Boston, particularly by dismantling the city's staggering racial wealth gaps and high rate of income inequality ratios. Addressing these disparities ensures higher labor market stability, expanded business ownership, and better overall community well-being. Institutional support and mentorship. Many of our men, our young boys, don't have role models, don't have the mentors. I'm a mother of 3 sons, so I'm biased in some ways. And that's why we're looking for role models and leaders to help us address the growing educational gap where boys lag girls in high school graduation rate and college readiness requires systemic changes and investment. That is why Whittier Health Center has made closing this gap a central portion of its mission. We're not simply observing the disturbing trends we see in life expectancy, substance use, mental health, education, and economic instability. We are actively participating in the solutions. Through culturally responsive care, targeted prevention, trauma-informed behavioral health services, youth development programming, and workforce pathways, we are working to disrupt the very condition that results in these inequities. This commitment reflects our powerful belief that when men and boys have access to comprehensive care and support, whole families and neighborhoods grow stronger. Thank you for your commitment to closing the gaps and improving the lives of our men and boys. Give yourselves a round of applause. I'd like to start by thanking the Whittier team. We do a lot of community events. Every day there's something going on around here, engaging people. And my colleague, Christine Paduello, Vice President ambassadors. They are in the community from rain, shine, snow. They're out there spreading the word. In addition to hearing from our men's health champions, I'm excited about the panel discussion that we're about to hear, which is going to be led by our very own Dr. Kwani Dance, a psychologist who came to us. So whatever job, I'm in, and I do, you will hear, I get calls from people, from men who said, I have not engaged in mental health services until I am on Kwani. Can you get me on Kwani's schedule? I'm even a scheduler around here. So whatever we can to get you here. So every year, we are honored to host our Men's Health Summit and other inclusive community gatherings that bring together our patients, partners, and neighbors for vital conversations about health equity and social justice. These events do much more than raise awareness. They create spaces where individuals and families feel informed, supported, and empowered to take charge of their well-being. They remind us that health is not only a personal journey, but also a collective responsibility. We hope today's summit inspires each of you to play a role in strengthening the health and well-being of men and boys so that they live with dignity, purpose, and to their full potential. I see one of our city elected officials. Did you want to say hello? Thank you. So he's here. He's going to have a council. Of Whittier Center. So when I talk about that little engine, he was one of the people we engaged at. We would tell anybody that would listen or had ears, even if you didn't listen. As long as you had ears, we will tell you about the life expectancy because we wanted it to change. So thank you for your consistent support.
Honored to be here.
Wonderful. Thank you. So today's honorees, who I'm excited to hear about, represent a distinguished group of leaders whose life and work embody resilience, service, and hope. Their integrity, compassion, and dedication make them powerful role models for our community and the next generation. We're deeply proud to recognize our 2026 Men's Health Champion for their outstanding contributions to advancing men's health and promoting equity across Greater Boston. Skip Gonzalez, Jimmy Jimenez, our very own Dr. Roger Sayag, Mr. Wilbur Brown, and Jimenez Brown. So when you see that name there, the last name, I had to practice it. It's not Dominic, it's Jimenez. So I practiced it. Congratulations. Is Skip Gonzalez, someone whose life's work is deeply rooted in the very community that raised him. Born and raised in Boston South End, Skip began his lifelong commitment to service by mentoring and coaching at-risk youth, setting the tone for his future career. He went on to support Boston Public School students as scholar athletes, helping young people stay on track academically, build confidence, and prepare for college and careers. From there, Skip stepped into the workforce development, working side by side with residents to break down employment barriers and open doors to opportunities. Today, as manager of the Mayor's Office of Black Male Advancement, Skip leads efforts that connect Boston residents with jobs, training, career support, and essential resources that strengthen families and communities. Through every chapter of his journey, Skip has championed stability, wellness, and opportunity. His leadership continues to create pathways for men and young men across the city, and it is why we are so proud to present him with the 2026 Men's Health Champion Award.
Thank you so much. Wrote a little something. I'm truly honored to receive the 2026 Men's Health Champion Award from Whittier. To be recognized by an organization that has done so much to improve the health and well-being of our communities is incredibly humbling. I want to thank the leadership, staff, and everyone at Whittier for your unwavering commitment to serving our community. I also want to thank my family, my friends, my colleagues, and community partners. Your support, encouragement, and shared commitment to this work have made any impact I've made possible. Now, this year's theme, Closing the Gap, Better Health for Men and Boys, is one that deeply resonates with me. Too many men delay care, struggle in silence, or don't know where to turn for help. Closing the gap requires more than healthcare. It requires trust, education, prevention, and strong partnerships that meet people where they are. I accept this award not as a reflection of what I've accomplished, but as a reminder that our work is far from finished. Every time we encourage a man to prioritize his health, seek support, or have an honest conversation, we strengthen families, we strengthen communities, and we strengthen future generations. Thank you again for this incredible honor. I am proud to stand alongside all of you in this important work, and I look forward to continuing it together. Thank you so much.
It is now my pleasure to introduce our next honoree, Jimenez, someone whose work reflects a deep love for community and a lifelong commitment to expanding access, opportunity, and care. In his role as Assistant Vice President of Community Engagement and Workforce Development at North Suffolk Community Services, he has helped countless individuals and families find the support they need to thrive. He also serves as a community ambassador for Chelsea and Whittier through the state's Office of Economic Empowerment, helping residents build financial stability and connect with vital resources. His deep roots in Whittier, where he has lived for over 3 decades, since immigrated from Colombia as a teenager, are reflected in his civic involvement, including his appointment to the Nouvelles Cultural Council. From his early days at NSC's psychiatric crisis team to his current focus on workforce development, he has remained a steady, compassionate presence for communities that too often go unheard. For your unwavering dedication to connection, compassion, and community, we want to present you with the 2026 Men's Health Champion Award.
Hi everyone, I also wrote a little song. It's little. So first, thank you for this honor. I want to first thank Whittier Street Health Center for this wonderful event and for spotlighting the work that they do here for all of the individuals that are involved in that work. Thank you. Also showcasing the spotlight, the need that's still there for men's health. I also want to thank my family, which are my main inspiration for everything that I do and shape me to the person that I am today. A special thanks to my mother, my aunt, my wife, and my kids who are in the audience today. Thank you. I also want to take this opportunity to thank my agency CEO, Julian Lemoyne, for all her support throughout my career and my professional growth at North Suffolk Community Services. Her guidance and support and leadership are amazing and also supported who I am today. I am going to leave you with 2 quotes from the report. One by civil rights leader and strategist by Rustin, who said, inspiration untethered from action loses all value. As well as Frida Kahlo's statement that, and she's a Mexican artist, that stated, passion is the bridge that takes you from pain to change. So please, I encourage you all, let inspiration fuel action and your passion channel adversity into growth, because that's when progress is possible and transformation begins. Thank you.
Wonderful work. And now, our very own Dr. Whittier Syed. I'm proud to recognize Dr. Syed, Whittier State Health Center's Chief of OBGYN and Women's Health Department. A physician whose expertise is matched only by his dedication to patient-centered care. Before joining Whittier, Dr. Syed spent nearly 30 years at Boston Medical Center, building a distinguished career serving diverse and underserved communities. A graduate of the American University of Beirut, he completed his residency at Tufts Medical Center and went on to pursue a fellowship in reproductive endocrinology at the University of Pennsylvania. Throughout his career, Dr. Syed has cultivated wide-ranging clinical interests with particular focus on infertility and menopause management in low-resource settings such as the communities we serve. He's a diplomat of the American Board of Obstetricians and Gynecology, a fellow of both the American Board of OB and Gynecology and the American College of Surgeons, and has published over 50 scientific papers and editorials in peer-reviewed journals. Dr. Syed's excellence has been recognized time and time again, from best doctors in America to Boston's top doctors, and we have him at Whittier Street Health Center. Recognized by his peers and the broader medical community. His excellence has earned him distinction in both the Best Doctors in America listings as well as Boston Magazine's top doctors. His leadership and clinical skills continue to elevate women's health at Whittier Street Health Center and beyond. And for that, Dr. Syed, we're honored to present you with one of the 2026 Men's Health Champion Awards.
Thank you very much for this great honor. This is truly an introduction that would have made my mother proud. So thank you again. The truth is that this award belongs to my team who come to work every day, an army of nurses, providers, medical assistants, case managers, unit coordinators who come every day to work with dedication and a commitment to close the gap in women's health care. And knowingly or unknowingly, they also contribute to closing the gaps in men's health care one man at a time. We'll have a chance to discuss more of that in the panel discussion. So again, my thanks go to them primarily. My thanks also go to my boss here at work, Frederica Williams, who is the champion of all champions. And also my thanks goes to my boss at home, my wife Priscilla, of 32 years. Who in brief has been the best thing that has happened to this man's health, both physical and mental health.
Our next honoree, Wilbur Brown, is the founder and director of Transitional Remedy Solution, a Boston nonprofit that has become a lifeline for individuals and families navigating some of life's most difficult transitions. For more than 30 years, Wilbur has been a powerful advocate for men's health, trauma recovery, family reunification, and community integration. Through Transitional Remedy Solution, Wilbur has created programs that provide emotional support, life skills development, peer mentoring, and pathways to stability for men facing challenges related to incarceration, mental health, and trauma. His work is grounded in the belief that true wellness includes emotional, psychological, social, and spiritual well-being. Wilbur's leadership is shaped not only by his professional experience, but by his own journey as a survivor of significant health challenges. For your depth of service, your authenticity, compassion, and the hope you bring to so many, we proudly recognize you with the Whittier Men's Health Champion Award.
Oh, okay.
That's fancy, Wilbur.
Yeah.
You got the mic, Wilbur. You got the mic.
I want to sing a song. Sometimes, you think about your journey. And I think about the Indianapolis 500. Everybody on that racetrack has one thing in common. They have to go to a pit stop. They have to get fueled up, they have to get some Gatorade, they have to look at the girlfriend over and what they need that to continue to take the next step. Well, Indianapolis 500 is like my life. It's been an interesting situation. I grew up in a home with alcoholism and domestic violence. I left home when I was 15 years old to come to Boston to live with my sister for a summer. And I've been here ever since. Well, I've been here for 35 years. No, that's not. I just turned 71 years old, June 11th. So this is a wonderful thing. And I'm 71, and I heard that the statistic is 59. I'm defied the odds at 71 years old. My four daughters keep me alive. They stay in my ear. And all of my team, right? Whittier Street is my team as well. I don't know where Bob is, but Bob is always calling me and navigating some different things in the community. I send people here, it's kind of like chain reaction. People come to me. I go to other people where I think that they can fit. Because I haven't always been dealing with therapeutic services and psychologists. I haven't always done that. I don't trust people. You know, I'm gonna sit there and tell you about how my mother slapped, how my father slapped my mother, how this happened to me. You know what I'm saying? When I got in a street fight and I experienced the judicial process, how the judicial process changed me. But I went to college and I started to pray. And that's the whole big thing. I'm not gonna take a lot of time, but I just want to acknowledge my team, right? And Whittier Street is a part of my team. That memorandum of understanding. Thank you, dear. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. And for something like that, dealing with grassroots initiatives for 30 or 40 years, and to have Whittier Street sign a memorandum of understanding that brought me to a level that made me proud. Okay, Curtis is out there, Mr. Muhammad is out there. All of these people are my team because I have a handicap, right? No, I'm not handicapped. I have a little bit of a deficiency right now because I drove my car here today, you know, and I gave my daughter, you know what I'm saying, $75 for her Cape card, for her being down on the Cape today, spending the day. So, hey, this is just wonderful. Look, if I don't want to, you know, just say this. My groups always have just one more thing. I'm right, you know, and I am just going to have this one thing. But the people in this room today is people that's supposed to be here. And I'm asking God to bless each and every one of you. I don't know what your situation is. Some people might not have food. Some people may have lost a 17-year-old son. Some people may be hurting in other different types of ways. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Walker, for those inspirational words. And our final honoree, it is now my pleasure to introduce the Menace Round. What does this word say up here? What does the name say? No. But it is pronounced the Menace. The Menace. Yeah, so the Menace is a pioneering Emmy Award meteorologist whose career has broken barriers and inspired industries, audiences across the country. A Georgian native, the Menace began his career in 2008 at WCTI-TV in North Carolina and later at WTKR-TV in Virginia, becoming the first black meteorologist at both stations. He continued making history at WIS-TV in South Carolina, where he led the weather team for 5 years before bringing his expertise and talent to KTVT in Dallas-Fort Worth. Today, we're fortunate to have him as part of the NBC 10 Boston team. He continues to guide viewers through major weather events. We were watching yesterday when you said there was a little bit of rain, and you called the rain, and it's gone. Through major weather events with quality, calm, and a deep commitment to public service. As certified workers meteorologist, the Menace holds a Master of Science degree in Geosciences, Broadcast Meteorology from Mississippi State University, and a BA in Journalism and Broadcast News from the Grady School College of Journalism and Mass Communication at the University of Georgia. The Menace's barrier-breaking achievements, trusted reporting, and dedication to social justice have made him a respected voice in communities nationwide. For his trailblazing leadership, commitment to social justice, and dedication to uplifting communities, we are proud to celebrate the Menace Brown as one of this year's Men's Health Champions.
Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. So good to be here with you. I first want to say thank you for this opportunity and give a big thank you to Frederica Williams and the Whittier Street Health Center for the special honor as a champion for men's health here in the greater Boston area. I hold this award with a great deal of gratitude and pride for my efforts to promote better health and wellness, positive living and impact in our community, but especially in the Black community here in greater Boston. So again, thank you for this recognition, and thank you to my team at NBC 10 Boston as well for being a beacon of light. As a champion for men's health, I want to encourage all the young and seasoned men in this room to go to the doctor. Yes, June is Men's Health Month. It's a great reminder to get checked out and talk to your doctor, but we shouldn't wait until June each year to do something about our health and well-being. We must take care of our health every day, every month, not only for ourselves, but for our families, our friends, and our community. In other words, we have to keep the whole man in check. And what I mean by the whole man, we must keep our physical health in check, our mental health in check, and our spiritual health in check as well. And we should never be too scared. We hear this a lot. Too scared, too nervous, too embarrassed, too busy to seek medical advice or treatment. And there are a lot of statistics, and Frederica had some of them as well. I'll just run through a few of them that I found online. National surveys say that men generally avoid doctors at higher rates than women. We know that, right? We've got to change that. About 53% of white men and 63% of non-white men skip regular health screenings. When it comes to Black men, about 31% report not having a personal doctor for several reasons, some saying mistrust and the cost. For Hispanic men, about 47% say they don't have a personal doctor. And when some of us men decide to go to the doctor, we're in pain. Pain, or it's already too late. So this is what I encourage today. Go schedule that appointment. Call a doctor. If you're too nervous about it, get a friend or a family member to help you out. You're not in this alone. And as I mentioned before, we have to take care of our mental health and our spiritual health as well. Don't be afraid to talk to someone. If you feel like something isn't right in your body and your mind, go talk to someone. It could be a therapist, a church member, a friend or a family member. Just don't keep those things building and building and building inside you. Some of the best medicine is just to have a listening ear to guide you through some of the darkest moments of your life. So as the old commercial used to say, just do it. I think you got to do it. Just do it. Do it for your family, do it for all your friends, and do it for you. So again, thank you for this recognition. Thank you to Frederica and Whittier Street Health Center for this honor, and thank you for all that you do here in the Greater Boston community.
Just do it. Let us give them all my mental health. Before I introduce our keynote speaker, I want to invite Councilor Fleury to the podium. He has a few words to say.
Chair. Thank you, Ms. Williams, for inviting me and to the outstanding team that you have here. I always enjoy coming to this event. I want to say thank you for bringing so many distinguished gentlemen here to talk about how important it is for men to access health care, mental health care. But I do want to acknowledge my colleague and friend, Councilor Pepin, for the work he's done on the council, along with other council members that are friends of ours as well, like Henry Santana, Brian Morrell, Reverend Culpepper, who have been really advocating for men to access the critical health care that they need and deserve. My final point is, well, I want to say thank you to Whittier for the outstanding work you do every day throughout the city, my final point is I had the opportunity to serve 24 years in the United States Navy. High percent of those men and women are people of color. Historically, VA has not been welcoming to people of color, including women veterans. That's changing, but my point is it's critical, whether it's at the VA or Whittier, for people to get the access to health care, to mental health that they need and deserve. Because you're saving your life, you're providing a role model really to the family and community as well. So I want to say thank you to the Whittier's great team for bringing us together on this important issue. And I'm looking forward to hearing from my colleagues.
Is a lifelong Bostonian who now serves as the Boston City Councilor for District 5. His commitment to public service was shaped by his upbringing in the Charlestown public housing community, where after a major shooting at Charlestown High School and a promise by the late Mayor Thomas Lino to open a police station nearby, he knew he wanted to be part of the solution. That experience sparked a lifelong resolve to help remove the barriers that many Boston communities continue to face. His career reflects deep engagement across city, state, and advocacy goals. He began as an intern for City Councilor Tito Jackson before serving as district coordinator for Congressman Joseph Kennedy. He later became the Jamaica Plain liaison in the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, led the Young Democrats of Massachusetts Latino Caucus, and advanced statewide transit equity as the state community engagement coordinator for transportation and co-chair of the Regional Transit Authority Advocates Coalition. Most recently, without becoming city councilor, he served as the executive director of the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services and represented Hyde Park, Manhattan, and Rosendale. Please join me in welcoming Councilor Evans.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. For me, this is a pleasure to be here with all of you. Again, my name is Enrique Pepin. And to be honest with you, when I got invited to come speak at this, I laughed a little bit. Not because I don't care about men's health, but because it took me about 2 years to make myself a physical. So, I thought it was a must, but you know, don't wait 2 years to schedule yourself a physical. First, I want to thank Whittier Street Health Center, President Williams, your entire team. But I do want to give a special shout out, I don't know if she's still in the room, to Siham, because I went to high school with her. And to know that she's now participating with your team, that is a great honor. But I do want to thank you for bringing all of us together for a conversation that is not just important, but long overdue. Because when we talk about men's health, we're really talking about our families, our communities, and our future. Now, not because sorry about that. In fact, it took me almost 2 years, like I said already, to even take care of myself before I realized that I needed to do that. Like a lot of men, I convinced myself that I was fine, that I was being strong. I thought I was indestructible. If nothing, I wasn't hurt too badly, right? I figured I must be doing okay. Turns out, that's not exactly how the human body works. And unfortunately, I learned that lesson that way, the hard way, more than once. I have a fun story for you all. When I first ran for city council, the Councilor Flynn, I was so focused on campaigning that I barely took care of myself. I wasn't drinking enough water, and somehow I convinced myself that surviving on Celsius energy drinks was a sustainable hydration plan. Spoiler alert, it is not. I ended up with a kidney stone, and I can confidently say that was one of the most painful experiences of my life. I do not want another kidney stone ever again. You think I would learn my lesson. But last year, when we were running for re-election, I was out door knocking during the second campaign. I was overdressed for the weather, consistently wearing suit jackets, hence why I'm not wearing one today. I wasn't drinking enough water, and I kept telling myself, just one more street. Well, one more street turned into a trip to Faulkner Hospital, where I was diagnosed with a heat stroke, and I needed an IV. I bring up these stories because these are real life stories that happened to me that scared me to death. Apparently my body finally said, if you're not going to slow down, I'm going to make you slow down. And on top of all that, I also live with asthma and psoriasis. So my immune system has never been an overachiever. The point is, I'm standing here today not because I've mastered taking care of myself or my health, but because I'm still learning how important it is. Growing up, I watched many men in my life carry everything quietly. They pushed through the pain, they ignored the symptoms, and rarely talked about what they were going through. Somewhere along the way, many of us were taught that being a man meant being tough, that asking for help somehow made us weak. Today, we know that mindset shows up in how men engage with the healthcare system. President Federica showed already, but I want to highlight this again. That study showed that about 60% of men, they don't see a doctor regularly. We don't. And many delay preventative care until something becomes very serious. Men are also more likely than women to receive routine screenings like blood pressure and cholesterol checks. And as a result, conditions that could have been prevented, if clearly early discovered, they're more than difficult to treat afterwards. The reality is that many of us spend our lives taking care of everyone else. Councilor Flynn knows this. Councilor Flynn and I know this. Anyone that works in the public sector, that works at a hospital, at a clinic, a neurologist, we're looking out for everyone else. And sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves. Well, how are we supposed to take care of other people if we're not filling up our own lives? Every day, I'm helping a resident navigate a housing issue, a public safety concern, a neighborhood violence issue, the family crises, the countless other challenges. I generally love serving my community, but the emotional weight of carrying other people's struggles every single day can be exhausting. There are days when I spend so much time making sure that everyone else is okay that I completely forget to ask myself if I'm okay. Sometimes I even forget to have lunch. And that brings me to something we will talk about today: mental health. Mental health isn't separate from physical health. it is very much interconnected. If we're mentally drained, constantly stressed, and emotionally exhausted, eventually our bodies, they start keeping score. I had to ask myself a very difficult question. What good am I to people who depend on me if I don't take care of myself? I have 3 young children at home. I have a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-month-old. I have to make sure that I'm okay so that I can take care of them. The answer is simple. I can't do this by myself. And neither can any of us, man or woman. It's necessary that we start taking care of ourselves. Whether that's scheduling a physical that you've been putting off, getting your blood pressure checked, exercising a little more, drinking more water instead of the energy drink, talking to a therapist, leaning on a trusted friend. I heard also church, I'm also a believer in God. I also talk to my parishioners at church. Simply admitting yourself that you're struggling, those aren't signs of weaknesses. They're signs of strength. I'm actually going to talk about something I didn't write about, but I was talking to Dr. Dance here, and we were talking about the importance of representation, about having Black and Latino men be doctors, therapists. It's very, very rare to come across them. And when I started on the city council, I looked for a therapist, because I really wanted to make sure that I was taking care of my mental health. And it took me so long to find a therapist that looked like me, that understands my culture. Luckily, I was able to find one, but that's not always the case. So I want to uplift the men that work in the health industry that look like me. So thank you. Closing these gaps require more than individual actions. It means expanding access to affordable health care, investing in mental health services and resources, and creating systems where men feel comfortable seeking help without fear, stigma, or judgment. Just this past Wednesday on the City Council, Councilor Flynn and I and our 11 other colleagues, we unanimously passed a resolution declaring Mental Health Awareness Month for June in the city of Boston. And that's not just a resolution. Yeah, give a round of applause. That's not just a resolution, though. It's a commitment to ourselves and to the greater Boston community that we take this serious and that we're going to make sure that we put this at the forefront of our policy making. Just yesterday, for the first time, I was able to bring the family van, a beautiful van resource, a health van that provides health services at no cost to families, to the Hyde Park community. Hyde Park is one of the neighborhoods that doesn't have a neighborhood health center. Yeah, it's one of the biggest neighborhoods in the city of Boston. So people have to go either to a beautiful one like the Whittier Health Center, or they have to go to Milton, they have to go to the Faulkner, or all the way down to the Longwood area. But if any of you guys are from Hyde Park, it takes a long ride to get anywhere. So right now we're really advocating to bring in that health advocacy and that health equity to Hyde Park and to my district in Boston. I don't want to just talk about my story. I want to talk about the next generation as well. I want to make sure that that number that President Federico brought up about how it went from, was it 59 to 69? I want that to go up to the 80s, to the 90s. I want us to live as long as those people in Back Bay. I want us to feel healthy. I want us to have access to healthy foods, to the clinics, to the doctors that understand us, to the pharmacies. We live in a pharmacy desert oftentimes, especially in neighborhoods like Roxbury, Dorchester, Madigan, and Hyde Park, where I lost already 2 pharmacies in my district. And I know it's happening in other places in the city. We have to make sure that we keep an eye on these things so that our people are not suffering, because we also need that health care. That's why I'm so thankful that places like the Whittier Health Center exist. President Federica, you give me that you are such a humble woman, but you deserve a round of applause. I look around this room and I said, this looks like my community. This looks like Boston. I didn't know if I should come up here, speak English, Spanish, Haitian Creole, Caribbean Creole. This is, look around. The faces of the room is very representative of what the city is. Be proud of yourselves. For me, it is such an honor to represent a city that we're so proud in our diversity, but we take care of one another. Keep taking care of each other. This is how we build a healthier Boston. Okay? Thank you so much for having me here. Thank you so much for President Federico.
So thank you, Two things. Did you know that Whittier has the best looking pharmacy in all of Massachusetts? So we do. That large, huge, beautiful. And also, yes, when I first moved to Boston, I lived in Hyde Park, and I know that there is a community health center, but Whittier has 5 mobile health vans that are canvassing the city. As we're talking about the social determinants of health, transportation in our community is an issue. Lately, they seem to be digging a street everywhere. I live in West Roxbury. It's an obstacle for us to get to work. I need to go see a therapist by the time I arrive here because they're not paying everywhere. So, but can you imagine for our patients who have to use public transportation? So if you look outside the 5 mobile vans, we have a van that does, Roxbury still has the highest rate of STDs and STIs. People are still testing positive for HIV, chlamydia, syphilis, gonorrhea. So we go into the community. We have a large mobile health van that provides primary care, behavioral health. And that's why I put the thing about substance use, because that is also an issue that is impacting the men. Men in our community account for 3/4 of the fatal overdoses. And so we meet them where they are. And the van has 2 exam rooms and a lab station. Better than the family van. Now, who's competing? But I'll be trying to get to that. We have a dental van that also has 2 dental operatories where people can get their cleanings. We use those vans to go to the school. We do vision screening in our community for children that struggle academically. My son had the experience. It's usually sometimes low vision. And or people preventable glaucoma or issues with eye exam. So we bring those resources. So there are 5 vans, and then we provide a shuttle service. People in our transportation to come to an appointment, we'll pick them up and bring them here. Because again, we're about, this is a beautiful building. We have a clinic on Blue Hill. We have a clinic at the Boston Day and Evening Academy. But if you have to deal with taking time off and not getting paid or transportation or buses, I get confused about which orange line or which red line is being repaired and which bus. That is a challenge for people. So that's why we don't so much focus on the judgment of individual men who take care of themselves. There are barriers, and that's what we do. So thank you for the work that you do. You have CMs from a distance, whatever the vans are there, and we're ready to help. So, Men's health champion, just do it. I mean, someone, just do it. Just go to the mobile van. Just come to the History House Center. Just do it. Now, I'm going to move to the panel discussion, and I am pleased and proud to introduce our moderator for today's panel discussion, Dr. Kwame Nias. Kwame has served Whittier patients since 2017 with expertise shaped by his past leadership roles in Cambridge, Boston, Children's Hospital, and Harvard Medical School. As a licensed clinical psychologist, educator, consultant, and leading advocate for culturally responsive behavioral health, his work spans violence prevention, workforce development, and community-based mental health. He's a graduate of William James College, which is how we met him, with a Doctor of Psychology degree in clinical psychology and an MBA. Kwame completed his APA accredited internship at Boston Medical Center and has dedicated his career to advancing equitable mental health care. He's the founder of Access and co-founder of To Be Epic, innovative programs that expose Black and Latino youth to mental health careers, reduce stigma, and build pathways into behavioral health workforce. He's widely recognized for his leadership, advocacy, and unwavering commitment to strengthening community wellness. He continues to elevate culturally responsive behavioral health and expand pathways for future mental health leaders. Please join me at the podium and you'll need to introduce the rest of the panel.
I'll talk as panelists join. We have a couple of new panelists that are joining some of our awardees. So panelists want to come up, and I'll introduce Madison. Bios inside their program, Madison Singleton. Madison Singleton was born and raised in the Boston area and has been a long-standing ear patient since 2012. He graduated from the University of Michigan, Wolverines, with a bachelor's degree in liberal arts. Madison taught at the Boston Public School System and initiated the Academy House Summer Youth Enrichment Program in the summer of 1982. He also worked in the field of addiction and continues to be an active volunteer in the community, helping those in need of addiction support services. Madison is a proud father of 2 adult children, a son and daughter. Give it up for Madison. And Doug Dixon is a senior vice president and team leader at Beacon Bank and Trust with 25 years of industry experience focused on healthcare, education, non-for-profit, and government clients. His career journey spans all facets of banking, including managerial, operational, customer, and regulatory domains. With a profound understanding of team management, portfolio oversight, client cultivation, and credit risk management, he brings to the table a wealth of experience in commercial banking products and services. Personally, Doug is an avid runner and swimmer and still hits the road and pool several times a week. I need to hang out with him. He lives in Framingham with his wife and young daughter. Doug Dixon, please join the panel, and my awardees who are on the panel. Come on up, so we will have, Mr. Jimenez, Mr. Gonzalez, Mr. Brown, and Dr. Sohek. And while you're coming up to the panel, okay, cool. All right, sounds good. All right, so I just want to say a couple of thank yous really quickly. So big thank you to Frederica and Christine and the entire behavioral health team, our administrators, our security and custodial staff who are usually here with me at the end of the night we're the only ones here late. So thank you to them, and thank you for helping me to grow as a person, as a clinician, and as a man, which is why we're here today to talk about men's health. So thank you, panelists. And thank you all for being here, and thank you to all of our. So, we're gonna jump right in. I'd invite our panelists to give thorough but concise responses, because we wanna move things along, but we wanna hear from everybody and hear your great wisdom, okay? So, let's see, let's start broadly with this, okay? You all have mics, or we can pass mics. When you hear the theme, closing the gap, what gaps in men's and boys' help stand out most to you? Whoever wants to start us off, you can get going. I'd love to hear from all of our parents. Thank you. I'd love to hear from all of our panelists on this one. So again.
Yeah, it is on, so thank you.
Yeah, go for it.
So, yeah, again, my name is Roger. Great question. So the really, the way I look at it is two gaps. One is a gender gap. Primary gender gap. And then there's also the racial gap. And I'm calling significantly less in use, and also quality of life, as well. So those, in my mind, are the two gaps that we need to close, and I know that everybody Whittier is working on.
I would say delayed engagement is a gap for men. A lot of men, unfortunately, we have issues with going to the doctor or going to the screenings for annual checkups. And, we don't go and seek health care until something serious, until we're really in pain. So delayed engagement with health care is one. And mental health is another gap that men, we just don't take seriously until we feel we need to. Mental health is something that has hurt the community in so many ways, and we can start early.
So for me, and I'm glad you brought up mental health, is the field that I'm involved with, is there is a major gap in representation, right? Especially when you talk about being represented by a social worker or a psychologist. There's a big gap. About 80% of social workers are male, 20% of psychologists are male. So there's a big gap. So we don't feel represented. And there's also, on top of the stigma of wanting to talk to someone, we run into the barrier of finding that someone that we want to talk to. That in some cases, either there's a wait list because you're looking for a male, or so I think that's a big gap. And there's a great need, even when it comes to people coming into the field. I'll give you a little anecdote, because I work with interns in a lot of different schools. We have a clinical coordinator training internships under our department that supports this, and we get interns that come in that happen to be male, and then they happen to be Latino or Black. We call them a unicorn. Oh, that's a unicorn. And it's like, I don't want any more unicorns. Although it's great to make the statement and feel excited that someone's coming on board that we need, I want that to go away. I want that percentage to go up, and for people when they're looking for services and they're looking in this field, they find somebody that they feel represented, and I can hear out their concerns, be it whether it's gender or any of those necessities, or culturally, because it's cultural as well. I want somebody that understands. That will be the biggest. Needs to be close.
I left my horn back in my office over there. So
There you go.
Thanks, sir. Good morning. Dr. Davis, thank you for the kind words of introduction. Very excited to have you guys here today. So Doug Dixon, and here's one great banker down in healthcare, how that fit in. And I just want to speak to my thoughts, closing the gap. It's an important question. But how does banking fit into all that? I think one of the things that's often overlooked one of the biggest causes of stress, mental health, is just financial difficulties. Lost job, paying mortgage, paying rent, all those things are very, very important things, and things that can cause a lot of stress and dovetails right into mental health and can even get into physical health. I'm sitting here, I think, with Madison, school teacher, right? I think one of the things that we can help to close the gap is in the area of financial education. I know as I came up through school, it wasn't something that was widely covered, and I happened to fall into it just because of the profession that I'm in. I look around, and certainly my daughter, just the skills that are taught in school are very lacking, in my opinion. And I think it's an area that provided a little more emphasis on it, maybe in high school, or certainly if there were seminars in a location like this. We can take away some of that stress and at least make do or make what we do have stretch that much further. So I can get into that more, but things about getting a mortgage, credit scores, all those sort of things, how they factor into closing the gap, I think would be an important step in an area where your banker, your local banker can help. And then getting a little deeper, banking, again, perhaps we don't have the best reputation. Trust is built over time. And how do we do that? I would say, much like scheduling a doctor's appointment, maybe schedule a time with a local banker, a financial advisor, someone you trust. It can just maybe be someone that's done it a few times before that you're close with. But maybe make that idea similar to making a doctor's appointment, do an annual financial checkup, check your budget, that sort of thing, and see where maybe changes can be made and movements can be made. And that would be, I think, kind of from my perspective, at least a very niche part of how we can help close that gap.
Hi, closing the gap for me would start at home. And that's where the gap was closed for me. My mother took us to the doctor. She encouraged us. Not feeling well, she wasn't well. And that stayed with me all my life. That if I was in kind of pain, I would take care of it. It's always been to my dental and stuff like that. I took care of my dental. Then we got to the practice of mental health, right? Because there was a stigma of I was educated, and I didn't think that I had mental health issues. So the crisis and stuff involved substance. And then I needed to get some help. So I was able to connect with this help. And what was really significant for me, someone had to look like me. I had to have trust before I would disclose what was really going on. And so with those two factors, closing the gap, someone that looks like me is so significant in my whole wraparound service. I have trust issues in this system. And I just felt like I could pour my heart out to my doctor, my therapist. I could ask for all these things that I really need, so it helped really. And that's what Whittier Street has afforded me. And in turn, I have a healthy family. And I encourage my kids from here to go to the doctor. I encourage my kids when they're struggling with mental health issues or emotions, that we need to talk about it. And if you can't talk to me, and it's hard to talk to your parents, I'll send you somewhere. I'll send you to Whittier Street, and you can start talking about the stuff that you don't want to talk to your parents about. And that's closing the gap, is educating my children. And then lastly, in schools. I worked at Boston Day and Evening Academy. And the things I would see as an educator would floor you, right? Because you see the whole crisis that a child is going through when they leave home in the morning hungry, or their parents were doing whatever they were doing all night, and the kids being abused. All that stuff comes into a school. Teachers get to see it. And that's where it starts, you know. You don't want to wait till you have to call the best team. You want to really get services right away. And that's what schools can do, what we call wraparound services. right? Not just teaching them how to read and write, but we want to treat the whole family, right? And so that, I didn't mean to go on, but that's my thing.
So when you hear closing the gap, what do you think of? What does that mean to you?
When I think about closing the gap, I think about connecting the dots. And I was born in North Carolina, right? And I didn't even know we was poor until I was 14 years old, according to the census, right? We had food, we had a car, I had a dog named Bootsy, and I had my oldest daughter used to whoop my ass more than my mother did, right? Excuse my language, right? But closing the gap today is definitely education. In my men's group the other night, about a month ago, there's actually two brothers, right? One had some issues, and he was real courageous in bringing those issues out, right? So I offered to pick him up, take him to the hospital, and after that, lunch was on me. You know, the big thing was to let him know that I had been conditioned too. They call it the white coat syndrome. They have to do my blood pressure 15 to 20 minutes after I go see my primary care. It's because it's so high, because the anxiety is so high. And the anxiety is so high, I hear this one has cancer, this one has all of these ailments, right? It was that I was scared that it was going to tell me something bad, right? And I understood the fear in that young man. So he did go to the doctor, both of them went to the doctor. And fortunately, you know, they had a good bill of health, right? But they had just been having some problems. How I would also close the gap too is for the older gentlemen to start talking to the younger gentlemen as if they didn't have a situation that they had. For example, I would not pay no $150 for no Jordans, right? But you pay that much due with the economy for the Chuck Taylors, the All-Stars. I remember when the All-Stars was all colors. That was, well, I'm giving myself away now, right? That was the sneaker to wear. Talk to them, you know what I'm saying? And I coined the phrase when I was really deep into trauma work with Dr. Macy, which he's here, he's my trainer. My therapist is here, which is he went from my therapist to my good friend and my colleague. Yeah, it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. But the bottom line is you have to meet people where they are. And that's basically what I want to hear.
That's right. So thank you all for answering that first question. And I feel like y'all stole my thunder for like a lot of the other questions. Seeing some themes that are coming up across the board. So I'm hearing generational themes, social determinants and addressing some of the systems. I'm hearing trust, which was my next question. I'm going to ask you all, especially if you haven't spoken to one of the themes that have already come up, if you could jump in. I really want to hone in on that trust piece that Mr. Singleton spoke about. So how does trust influence engagement for men in health services? Anyone?
Well, I guess I'll start. I think trust is a very, very valuable commodity, which is very difficult to build, but very easy to lose. We have a historical event that happened in the 40s after World War II called the Tuskegee experiment. Have you heard of that? Anybody in the audience? It still resonates 80 years later, just to show you how breach of trust drags on. It's very easy to lose and very difficult to rebuild. Essentially, these are people in Alabama who were basically duped into enrolling in an arm of the study where their syphilis was not treated, just to see what happens with untreated syphilis. So there was a placebo arm, although at the time penicillin had already been made available and was known to be adequate treatment. So that's an example that the Tuskegee experiment continues to resonate, and we have to do a better job to engage people, meet them where they are in their communities, and try to reconnect with them and rebuild trust, not through words but also through actions. Some of you may wonder how a women's health provider can include men and boys' health. Maybe many of you may be wondering why I should be so woman. I'm wondering with you as well, but no, I'm just I know you know the answer, and I can tell you that I think an informed and educated woman in the clinic is our best ally, because we all know that women make healthcare decisions in their families, for their partners, their spouses, their fathers, their sons. They are basically make all decisions, where to get your doctor, how to get when to go to the doctor, etc. So when we know women are better than men in going preventive health services. So whenever we have a woman in our clinic, we feel some opportunity to engage and to basically ask about the rest of the family. And many times, I can go on and on with many anecdotes, we discover that the men have a lot of partners, their sons have an issue, and they can be our ally in getting those men in that family for, to care for them, to get the preventive health care. Another example of how women's health care makes a big difference is the prenatal care we provide to pregnant women. Of course, that benefits women pregnant with baby boys and baby girls, particularly for baby boys. We know also historical, event of historical significance is the Dutch famine study from World War II. Have anybody heard of the Dutch famine study? These are women who were malnutrition, who did not get enough because of the siege in Amsterdam. They did not get enough food. Lo and behold, those babies were born with, especially the baby boys, were born with smaller sized brains. And also, when they followed that cohort for many years, they discovered that those boys had higher incidence of diabetes and heart disease and cognitive issues, all of which immense health and longevity. So the prenatal care we provide here, as mentioned earlier, with all those wraparound services, nutrition, food pantry, SNAP, WIC, mental health, transportation support, all of that to optimize the outcome of that pregnancy. We also know that preterm birth and low birth weight babies have higher risk of heart disease and cardiovascular disease. That's more so for men, boys, and for women. And so by starting early, that's the ultimate in preventive health care, is optimizing the outcome of this pregnancy. And that's what we do here. And for all the men here in the audience, I don't see too many young men. But no young men who are thinking of starting families, I would say, get into meaningful relationships, and when your partners get pregnant, bring them as early as possible to Whittier for prenatal care and for our centering pregnancy program. That might be the best thing you will do, the best investment you can do, not just for your partner's health, your baby's health, especially if it's a baby boy, but also for your own health, because you will also be exposed to what we provide here. And you will hopefully gain our trust and start connecting and getting.
No, I got a prize.
That's right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you uplifting the research and our complicated history. And my girlfriend appreciates you saying trust women. So I appreciate it. Maybe one of our other panelists, maybe speak to trust and engagement.
I think in the area of mental health, it's a bit more difficult to gain that trust because it's an expectation to share that we don't share, especially as men sometimes so much. So it's a lot more difficult to create that trust. There's also the expectation, as we talked about financial, the expectation to provide, to be a provider. So when we don't meet those expectations, it's a lot more difficult to be able to trust someone and be able to talk about not enough or any of these things. So I think it's a lot more difficult in the field of mental health. But when we start to share, we start to notice that we're not alone, and that we all going through this, and we all going through these transitions, and we're able to get the support that we need with all these areas. An anecdote, and to keep it short, would be one of the best moments for me to be able to connect, and we'll talk about men, we'll talk about a recent one. We have a table at the soccer fest, right? The Chelsea Soccer Fest. And in those spaces, I connected because we're watching a game, and then I have my card with me, and it's like, come and talk to us, we're here to help. So creating those spaces to be able to support individuals, I think is important. So going out into the community, the stuff, things that we do with the bands, and going out into the community, I think it's great to meet them where they are. I'll share and I'll shout out to an amazing, one of our amazing recovery coaches for our Recovery in the Harbor program. He has a parenting, a new dad's group, it's a dad's group, some dad's talk. So it's those spaces where, we're dealing with our children and we're dealing with being new parents, and we just don't know, what's next. Are we making a mistake, are we not? And Derek, you're amazing. Just shout out to Derek and your amazing work with the parents group. And that's another example of a space where they can create and they can talk. He has a white flag thing. Like, when you deal with something and you're at home and you can't deal with this, what do you do? It's like, oh, white flag, I got one. This is what I do. So it's just creating those spaces to be able to share. Because gaining trust is a lot more difficult. And this is a helpful.
Thank you so much. And would somebody else like to answer that trust question?
Yeah, I'll add, I think, because we see a lack of representation in this space, in the healthcare space, it doesn't make us feel comfortable to go out and seek support, seek healthcare until we need it. I think having these conversations about health, about physical health, mental health, early on, right? Kids in school, kids out of school, early in your career, like you said, there's not that many young black men in the room. Having those conversations early is something that's important to make it more comfortable for us to do that later on.
Thank you so much. And we appreciate the soundtrack a little bit in the background. But if folks can do our best, I know sadly we have emergencies and things like that, but just silence or vibrate your phones out. Let's see. This one is, I'm not going to skip over this question because I'm biased. But what are effective ways to reduce stigma in mental health and normalize conversations about mental health? And anybody can feel free to jump in, especially if you haven't spoken.
Well, I mean, yeah, go ahead.
Reduce the stigma in terms of mental health. Personally, it's like the things that I see culturally, right? They really degrade my culture. Media representation and stuff like that, right? And it's so like, I think psychologically it really stresses people out. So there is that trust. So I think the messaging has to change. Mental health is real, and it's real deep, and I see it every day. I give you an example. I had a nephew, you know, that was under the covers, full of shades, in the dark, you know, and nobody knew what to do. Right? It's like, what do we do? And you see him going down in fashion. And so I reached out to him. And I said, how about a picture job? And I like him. Right? And how about if we could just do some other talk? And another light came. And that kid was thriving. I mean, thriving beyond measure. So the messaging and reaching out has to be more prevalent. In the household, it starts in the household. And then the messaging outside on the large scale has to change. So that's what's going on.
Thank you. Mike,
I got one.
you can jump in.
Just had a single quick thing to say.
Yeah.
And I would say there was a soundbite earlier about just quit. I think we're all here talking about men's health at the men's summit. I'll give you another one. Talk about it. So all of you, like many of you, hear someone speaking and saying something you want to share, just say that. All right, talk about it. Let them process, let them talk to you. If you get anything out of here that when men open up, we're ready, just listen, you know? Talk about it. I would say that's another soundbite to say. Talk about it.
That's right. That listening piece, I do find that men are willing to talk if we listen and feel heard, so I appreciate you doing that, Doctor.
Yeah, again, second what you said, tell the men, trust the women in your life, mother, whatever. They tell you something is wrong with you up there. Maybe there is some truth. Sometimes truth hurts. We could be ignorant of truth in that. So the people around you will be the first to know. So engage with your family, listen to them. So that's one. It's going to take, I think, a mindset change. Men will be men. Virus taking usually more than women. And they only seek help when there's a crisis. And that has to change. It is going to be changing. It's changing. The change is going slower than we would like. It is changing. I think getting to an inflection point. All the services, people where they are, organizing the community, engaging in the power of social media, the power of celebrities. There are many celebrities. Wayne Johnson, for example, spoke about, as a wrestler and a very strong macho man. He told me about his mental health about 10 years ago. I'm sure there are many others. Sometimes you'd be surprised how many, I'll give you an example. Sometimes I'm watching, during the end of the season, Celtics game or any other game, big game. And you see those big players when they're sitting on the bench watching the game, especially if it's the tight game. Some of them, you see them biting their nails, very anxious. I mean, big, strong men can be anxious too. And they often speak about their anxiety. So the power of celebrity is very important. So I think change is happening. We need to do everything in our power to celebrate. And I think we at Whittier here, I think, we're doing a very good job with outreach, engaging people, and gaining good trust, most importantly, and destigmatizing.
Does have anything to say toward that piece? Yes.
Sometimes we talk about other people, trusting other people. Well, some of us need to be taught how to trust ourselves. If I trust myself and love myself, then it's more likely that I will trust somebody else. I get a lot of people, especially men, with this ego thing, that I can fight, I can go through anything. Yes, you can, but you still have to, if you have high blood pressure, you still need to bring up your blood pressure. you still need to regulate your emotions. You still need to regulate your stress in your life. So each one educates somebody on what works better to de-stress them. Water, 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 and always water. Whether it's on Elm Street beach, bathhouse, whether it's in your shower, you change your shower heads. Some people do ice plunges. You know, all kinds of water is really healing. So convey that education to other people, and even if they do have a mental issue, don't exacerbate it. What are you, crazy? What are you? Do you see what he did? Listen, calm it down, you know, take it one step at a time. You know, we have to bring people down. We have to reach people where they are, because the teacher said they were done. You know, the father, you know, the daughter, you know, has been sexually assaulted by the foster brother. All of these things that we have in our head, and we need to lower it in the process of talking.
Thank you all and I know everybody has a lot to say, so I appreciate you sharing the mic, sharing the space. I'd like to hear from Doug and Skip on this question. And how it's speaking of systems and some of the social factors that we don't always connect with the health factors, but social factors like housing, employment, environments, and impact. What role do those in like community-based organizations and institutions play in ensuring that those issues are addressed to impact the healthcare system and the health of our men? Excuse me.
Is the question about kind of the community-based approach?
I tried to merge two questions, but for interest of time. But one, how do those social factors that I named and community factors impact health? That's the first piece. And then the other is what role do the community institutions and organizations play?
I think I got it. From my perspective, the community-based organizations play a huge role because for so many people, that's where they get their information. They're often in a room with people that they trust. They're going to get good advice, and so as much as we can, we need to make sure that there are those places. This is a perfect example. We're sitting right here. This is a fairly safe space. This is where you can ask the questions. You can be amongst doctors. Another thing I would mention too about that, tying into maybe the previous question, but also getting into this one, is the notion of confidentiality. Sitting and having financial stress, which leads to some of the things we're talking about here, that could be as much of an intimate conversation talking about the size of your checkbook or the checks that you bounce or some other things like that. This is talking about the health condition that you have. So understanding that, trying to keep that, it's certainly in the banking world, as much as it is in the healthcare world, that stuff is strictly confidential. There are very harsh laws that, I have to follow. And so if you're ever finding yourself in that situation, know that it's really confidential and that the folks you're speaking to, you get in big trouble for divulging anything like that. Much as a doctor, we don't have the Hippocratic Oath, but we do have laws that keep us very much in check. So in terms of community, that's what I see. The communities that I'm involved in, I think that's where you find a lot of people can go. It's more of the support for the men. Guys a little bit older, they're going to make more of a use for that. For the boys, we haven't talked about that a whole lot today, but for me, it would be sports. And the coach, the value of a coach, needs to be outdoor sports. In my opinion, soccer being the big one. Ross has come a long way. I've been incredibly for football as one I would advocate. Basketball is a good one. But stay away from hockey. I get asked, well, why do I run? I run because when I'm stressed out, that's just what I gotta do. So you can find your personal outlet, use your community space, and for boys, as they say outside as much as you can, and the guys make as much use as you can of the community spaces that are around.
As a former college football player, I'm gonna let that one slide, but we.
Should know my audience.
We were talking about experience, my background in workforce development, and helping people find jobs or training programs. That tends to be the foundation of the solution to your problem, right? If the money to pay your bills, support your family, do something you like to do, and that in turn help with how you feel with your work. Things you feel like you can do and get by. Same thing with taking time off work, having a good job, having a good wage, making a good thing, so that to me has been like a key foundation, helping a lot of people, a lot of these black people, find their study, that is,
Thank you. Because I want to add into this, and specifically something that was uplifted, or maybe I'm uplifting, is the pressure to provide. I heard you say that, and it was embedded in a few of the responses that are coming. But how does that play a role in kind of the systemic impact of those same social factors that we're talking about that can impact mental health?
So, I mean, the expectation to provide to begin with, which is the simplest thing, I have to go to work, I have to stop working, so I can't go to soccer without being doing it. That's number one, right? And same thing with why I can't, I have to provide, I need to be here, I don't have time to go talk to someone, I just deal with it myself, so that in the area of mental health will be another, barrier to actually seeking getting treatment. I would say that will be an area, as we said, we need to connect and be able to integrate community-based organizations like the capacity to do so, to integrate services that can help with that. Like some of the things that I do as a community ambassador for the Office of Empowerment is bring into the community resources that are available, something as simple as taking a course on how to create a budget, right? Or simple courses on what is a credit report, how do I buy a car, or how do I get a debt. So there are things like that we as an agency, I provide and have the approval to do so, to bring some of those workshops and resources. So even though we're a mental health provider, we also have this opportunity for you to learn about this, because learning about this as a social determinants of health, access to education, you're actually going to maybe connect with services in mental health needs that you may have. That would be
Thank you. Appreciate it. And I also appreciate that it's a great lead into our next almost final question before we open up to audience questions. So be thinking if you have any. But what are some solutions to all of the problems we're talking about? Some innovative solutions that either you've done, like was just spoken to, or we can think of for the future to increase access, close the gap.
I think we live in a food desert, all right? And I think health begins with nutrition. And our community, there's no stores really in our community that really nurture vegetables. We have our stuff. But when I do the comparison to other communities, there's a great divide. I think that the first thing we need to do is promote the healthy stores, corner stores, service, all the medicine. It's horrible. So that's what a lot of the shops. So we need grocery stores that promote real health, real healthy food for our community. It's a price thing. Maybe we have to get involved ourselves to produce that food in our food. We just need more engagement in nutrition. It starts there. And that's why we have all the outcomes we have, because of nutrition.
And yeah, this is like kind of our resource section, so if everyone could speak to something that they're aware of and know of that could be helpful to our audience.
I'll just add quickly, I'm sticking with the financial theme for me. I would like to see financial education, some basic literacy, be part of the high school education here, the graduation requirement. That's a real change that I think we can make, something that we can add very easily. Of course, curriculums have to hard to put together, and something we can add very quickly.
I think on my end, I said it earlier, just when it comes to resources and connecting with our needs. Like I said, the work that I do with the Office of Economic Empowerment is bringing in opportunities for financial education for free for any residents. So that would be a resource that I would talk about. Just go into the Office of Empowerment website and just find financial resources. So that was the question, right, around resources. And they do a lot of different programming, all of the different things. They have a webinar coming up in October for work and wellness. They give you an hour with a financial coach for free. So look it up, it's there. And then as an agency for behavioral health services, we have to cover, we're hoping to provide services. Boston, here, Chelsea, Whittier, Charlestown. And that's called the faculty admissions. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think meeting people where they are, trying to meet the hard resources out there, a lot of people just want to where miracles are. Trust, access, and prevention, some of those things. Share other resources.
We have, in women's health, we have an example since the 90s of very successful women's centers that have been established. And those have closed the gaps for women's health care significantly over the past 30 or 40 years. Screenings, breast cancer, cervical cancer, etc. And I'd like to see more men's health centers develop. We're making some progress that are more and more men's health centers, especially in the Boston area. Many of them are really just focused on, testosterone and prostate issues. They're run by urologists, sexual health, etc. I'd like to see more comprehensive men's health centers, incorporate endocrinologists, incorporate specialists, nutritionists, cardiologists. Because as you all know, heart disease is the leading cause of death, both in men and women, still to this day. So comprehensive men's health center, I would say, would be helpful. Every major hospital in the country has a wellness center, but not every major hospital has a wellness center. So I think that's one area where
So just one either innovative solution or something you know of.
Back in 1978, we experienced in Boston blizzard of 78. 3 years ago, and it's still going on, where COVID was a major fear and a major disease that was taking people out, especially seniors. One of the positive things that I got out of COVID and that I got out of the blizzard of 1978, I knew my neighbors. we helped the seniors shovel snow. We took food and bags of goods that people could use. So just different things that people could use. And you could open a line of communication by giving someone something. They're saying thank you, but you know, well, how's this going? How's your health? Do anybody check on you? Do anybody show you your stuff? We need to be more neighborly. And that's how I think that we can start to close the gap, is knowing who your neighbors are, knowing who the doctor is, knowing who this program is, knowing the media. I knew him before, but the whole point is, right? I want to know him, So get to know your neighbor. Even here today, I've given out 6 class, right? I'm trying to network. Okay?
Thank you. Yes, and I'm glad you brought the media into the conversation because you play an incredibly important role. So I see that lunch is here, so I've always been told not to stand in the way of lunch in the video. Exactly. So are there maybe any really, really dying, pressing questions that we might be able to yeah, you can take us to couple. Yeah.
I have a question. I don't usually need the mic, but I'm going to use it. I'll put it down here. My question is, how do we get more men in the room to hear these kind of conversations that need to be heard when, the women show up and we can only tell our men so much, and men talk to men differently than women do on many levels. How do we get them here and other places where they need to be to hear the greatness and the progress that needs to occur for them to progress? I got another question too, sorry. The question I had was, I'm sorry, I don't know your name, Samantha, yes. You spoke about the food, I'm sorry? Madison, I'm sorry. I just didn't want to say the wrong name. You talked about the food and disparities in our communities, and it made me think of Daily Table because they have lots of fruits, vegetables, opportunities, and things like that. So how do we develop something like that again and not get it taken away from us?
Is it here? We have politicians, right, that really can make things happen in our community. And I really believe, that's where it really needs to start. Because I saw that the other day, all of them, they left our community. I shot them. So, and a lot of people shot. They're not doing it. So what happens? People get shot. So I say our politicians, right, really kind of get things done. When you really want to get things done. So I would say start there. You got a couple of the other room. I want to still room. They need to hear this, right? And that's what I would say. And I would not any issue in saying it. That's where it starts. What are you doing? Why are you? Community is disintegrating every day, and I go out there. And so, the politicians. We have a garden here, we have a garden over here, we have little spots, but we don't have a place. We need a place. Great question.
Thank you. We have a question. You want to tap into that one, or?
I can add a thought to your first question. I can only tell you what works for me. I don't always listen to my wife. I know I should. But the one person I always listen to is my daughter. So if she's saying, hey Dad, you really should be doing this, Dad, you don't listen. I'm a little more apt to listen to that. Maybe do that. I'm not sure if I can do that. daughter, I'm assuming would be the same as a son, and have them do the heavy, some of the dirty work for you. Not my wife.
Thank you. We have a question over here, and I saw one more.
Hello, audience. I'm glad y'all had this men's summits. I'd like to say one thing. I think we need to take this back to the old school. We need to take care of our own people, our neighborhoods, and those that came into the neighborhood of people. The biggest thing about that is we need to come together as a community. I grew up in Whittier Street when I was 5 years old, coming up in Boston, North Carolina. I've seen a lot of different things that happen throughout the American culture. So we gotta educate our kids. We gotta take our neighborhood back. That'd be the best thing we can do, because the things that we're going through right now, it's up to us as the people to stand up. When it comes to this, we are the ones that control this nation. So we need to step up to the plate. I learned that from people like Miss Amber Lewis, people who's in our culture that grew up around people. Taught me about health, better care of myself. That's why I'm here today. They said I want to live at 14 years old. I'm still here. And I'm 57 years old. I'm almost 60. I'd like to thank Whittier Street and the panel for coming in there. And all y'all for being here. And I'm in the community all the time. God bless you all.
Thank you so much for this opportunity. And thank these men that have been chosen for this award and for the work that you've done. But still, we have a lot more work to do. Making our community healthy. I want to thank the president, Williams, for her innovative ways of building health networks in this town. And other people and other organizations try to model. Finally, I want to thank the president for her dedication to veterans who have served need to be served.
This to a close, I'm wondering if our panelists could just give one final, just reflective point, and maybe you could also include where to find you or any contact information or anything like that that you want to provide. So we could go down the.
I just want to thank I commend Ms. dedication to this community and all that she has But I remember Boston's very first house session. It was in Columbia Point. It was 1965. And look where we have found it. We got a long ways to go. But we spoke as really empowered. We really can't depend on other people. Thank you for all your work.
So I'm going to do the same thing. I just want to say thank you for everything for the chance that you're doing.
Thank you. I just want to say, I keep it. So, services, North South Community Services, North South Passport team, you'll find anything that we need there for our services. I'm just going to use two catchy sound bites. From Frederica, just do it. And from me, talk about it.
I would say we're counting on the women to improve the lives of the men in their lives. We are here on the fourth floor. We are here for you. And if you you know are pregnant.
To show another person some love. You don't know what that person is going through. I've been really triggered in a good way by a smiling face and a good morning. Well, I wanted to tell you about the program. My program is a transitional program. And transition, I thought of it, transitional remedy solutions. You're going through transition. We come with solutions to help people get back on their baseline. Whether, somebody is chasing them from another faction, it's just a lot of complicated issues that young people are going through. So, I would like to offer myself to come do presentations and work in collaboration with other people and other organizations. Because some people don't know the love language. Some people don't know the lingo or the discourse community, but they have a skill. Dr. Macy here taught me how to do psychological first aid. Well, he might can't go into Orchard Park, you know what I'm saying, at 9:30 or 10 o'clock at night, but I can. Okay, so we have to be intentional and come up with strategies of how to deal with these complex situations. Okay, so I do presentations. I need volunteers. We always need a couple more dollars to get some food for the groups and different things like that. And I would like to thank Department of Mental Health and the Boston Children's Foundation also for supporting TRS. TRSBoston.org is our website. So if I can help somebody and I can use some help with somebody volunteering, women, men, everybody is important. All right? So I just wanted to put that out there.
Thank you so much. I'm leaving optimistic with new ideas, having learned information. Thank you, there you go, the feedback. I'm leaving just really filled and just feel that all of you all were here to witness this amazing panel and get this information. Thank you. And I will speak on behalf of Whittier Street in this space, but just thank you all for your commitment to the work and working on yourselves and working with this community. Thank you so much, and I'm passing off to Madam President.
Thank you to all of you. Thank you to our panelists. As we think about one of the questions Kwame asked about community-based resources, and as was just mentioned, we are in this for the long haul. When we looked at the life expectancy in 2007, these things don't change overnight. They require sustained work. I've been doing these summits from when I was 15 years old, and 25 years later, I'm still here. Did you hear I was 15? Because sometimes what happens is in our community, whether it's the open table or urban farming, it is the flavor of the day. And when you are looking at health equity and social justice, which is very much the foundation of community health, you have to look at sustainability. We are also very vulnerable, depending on who's the president, who's the governor, or who's the mayor, and federal policies and how they impact us in our healthcare. The big ugly bill next year is going to impact us in a lot of ways, but we got to stay focused. And one of the things that we're doing is earlier on is really looking at all these social issues. Even if you went to your doctor, it's a one visit. But what happens outside of the doctor's office is 364 days, what we call the social determinants of care. What we eat, food is medicine. If you don't have money, you don't have wealth. If you're not mentally stable, it impacts everything. If you don't have workforce or employment, it impacts your health. If you don't have a healthy woman, look at how many women are in the audience, then we don't have healthy men and boys. And if we're not helping people transition, those are the barriers that we need to continue to work on. So I so appreciate all of you and of course, if we don't know what the weatherman is saying, especially with the weather that we had this year. I was so frustrated calling that, sorry, can you make it stop? There was so much smoke this year. That didn't when you know that now that he has this award, he's going to take care of it. No more snow. So again, the question about what do we need to do to get more men, they may not be here physically. This was Facebook Live. So people are sometimes, I know one of the bad things COVID has taught us, so all of you, your phones that were ringing, it was on Facebook Live. But one of the things that Facebook, that the COVID has done, I have to tell myself on Sunday morning, get up and go to church. Because I can watch it on Facebook and just be there and all the rest of it. So it has more access. But we've learned so much. The work needs to continue. 26 years of hosting this summit. Dr. Syed talked about the Women's Center. We have a men's health center on the 3rd floor. And again, many times it's the women that are dragging the men to the 3rd floor. But we also need to look at it while sexual health and sexuality and all those things are important. We need to look at a holistic point of view. So again, enjoy lunch. Thank you to our champions. Thank you to our panelists. And let's keep this going. When we leave here today, each of you have a mandate. Talk to somebody. Tell someone. I have my older, well not older, my older brother here, Haywood Finel, who I met 30 years ago when I was working as a senior VP at another healthcare facility. And earlier on in my career as a CEO, he was in my ears telling me, you gotta do this, and he started with the prison reentry program. But the work he did in media and his show helped to communicate. So the work that we're doing, and that's the sustainability. It isn't just a friendship for 1 year, it's continuing. But also me as a leader, opening myself up to all of you so you can continue to educate. So Doug is on our President's Advisory Council. He was also a men's health champion in 2025. And he ran this morning and came here to participate because he knows how financial are. So give yourself a wonderful applause. See you next year. And when you come next year, bring a man and a boy with you. We used to do the year workshop. Not just the men. We need the boys too. That's where the foundation is.
Appreciate you. Thanks for coming.